The airfare is not all that terrible. We could actually do a safari. The words came out of my mouth as if someone else was speaking them. Debbie was immediately interested. How much are the flights? Several years ago, my wife and I sponsored an orphaned elephant at the Sheldrick Wildlife Sanctuary in Kenya. Sheldrick runs a very successful program to take orphaned elephants who would otherwise die and raise them so that they can be integrated back into the wild. The trust can identify third-generation wild elephants whose grand elephants had once been orphans. Seeing the emails and videos from Sheldrick planted a seed. We started to discuss the possibility of going on a safari as a retirement trip, a big journey to treat ourselves after a lifetime of work. Most of the articles and videos I had seen about African safari vacations usually took place in absolutely stunning locations, but with equally stunning price tags. Costs could exceed $10,000 for a week to 10 days, and that didn't include airfare. Kenya Airways was offering a round-trip direct flight from JFK to Nairobi for a little less than $1,100, including all the taxes and fees. That was possible for us, but the real challenge would be trying to arrange accommodations. How do you find a safari tour operator 7,500 miles away? Like everyone, I started with a Google search. The first thing that popped up on my search turned out to be the most useful resource. SafariBookings.com is an aggregating website based in the Netherlands. It connects travelers interested in safari excursions throughout Africa with tour operators. You can search for tour companies based on your desired destination, length of stay, type of accommodation, etc. There are multiple filters, so it was very easy for us to identify companies that could provide us with a package for 7 days and 6 nights. And most importantly, at mid-range accommodations with a private guide who speaks English and a vehicle. Safari Bookings vets the tour companies listed on the site, and it's not difficult to find independent online reviews for the various safari providers they list. We were able to obtain half a dozen proposals from tour operators based in Kenya. Each one could provide transport from the airport or a hotel in Nairobi and offered their own individual itineraries traveling to the various national parks and preserves in Kenya. All the operators we dealt with were also willing to customize their proposals, an option we took full advantage of. We elected to cut short our stay at another park to extend our time at Amboseli, which is famous for their massive herds of elephants. After reviewing the various proposals and some back and forth emails, we settled on Sino-African safaris. Pre-COVID, Sino-African specialized in serving clients from China. Since the pandemic, they'd expanded to other countries. They were able to work with us to change their base proposal to spend more time at Amboseli, and we were able to change our itinerary for the final day so that we could get in a visit to the Sheldrick Trust. Not that this is unique to safaris, but there are some costs to account for that might not occur to the average traveler. Especially for those that might not have traveled to Africa. Firstly, while Kenya does not require any vaccinations to visit, other than COVID, the CDC recommends that Americans traveling to Kenya be vaccinated for meningitis and hepatitis A. The areas frequented by safari tours do not have yellow fever, so that's not recommended. Depending on your health insurance, these shots may run several $100s. Luckily, we both had good coverage and were able to get our shots with only a small copay. We also elected to get prescriptions for anti-malarial drugs, which you can take as a preventive measure. Kenya also requires entry visas for Americans. The process to apply is now 100% online and is relatively easy to complete, and the fees are about $90 a person. Then there's the issue of travel insurance. While I normally use my Chase Sapphire Preferred card for any travel expenses, I didn't come across any tour companies that accepted credit cards. Chase's built-in insurance would cover my flight, which I charged to our card, but I wasn't sure about accommodation cancellation or any other kind of delays or unexpected expenses. We decided to purchase standalone travel insurance for the trip. There are several websites that provide quotes for travel insurance from competing companies. We used squaremount.com to look for a policy that would cover cancellation due to COVID or other issues, pay for extending our stay due to flight cancellation or illness, and any emergency medical care, including evacuation. Our policy cost $178 and was issued by John Hancock, so we were confident in our coverage. Some tips. Don't be afraid to ask questions of the tour operators. They want you to have a great trip, and all the firms I dealt with were quick to answer questions. Make sure to check if your proposal includes park fees. Some of our proposals included the fees and the base price, others did not. Everything was clearly labeled, but folks may not be aware that the park entry fees can be substantial, more than $50 per person per day. That can add up in a hurry. Now, we live in New York City, and Kenya Airways offers a nonstop flight to Nairobi. That may not be an option for you, but especially in the current environment, a direct flight will decrease your chances of running into delays or cancellations.